physical, athletic, and somebody to be watching for.
In the middle, it just bounces off, but it's picked up and scored.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
Happy to welcome to Lacrosse Link Graeme Hossack of the Halifax Thunderbirds. And Graeme, you're going to be there for a while now. Welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to having this chat.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm excited to be on here speaking with you. But yeah, 5 years is a bit of a long time. It's kind of nice to have 5 years taken care of or sort out where I don't have to do any negotiations.
It's interesting because you don't see it a whole lot in the National Lacrosse League where guys sign deals of that length. Of course, your teammate Cody Jamieson was a bit of a groundbreaker when he signed a 10-year deal a while ago, well, 11 years ago, actually. And recently, Halifax has signed Jake Withers to a 5-year deal and now you to a 5-year deal. Obviously, if you're signing with a team for 5 years, you have to feel pretty confident and comfortable in the direction of the team. What is it that makes you feel so good about where the team's heading and making clear that you want to be there for the long term?
Well, to start off at the kind of just before COVID happened and our season was canceled there, I felt like we were hitting stride. Like we had a great group of guys, and like we were doing very well. And I think we're just going to continue to grow on that and kind of bond as a group. And obviously I want to keep that going. And we have some new faces coming in, which is really exciting. So like I said, I have no doubt that we're going to be strong in the near future here. So I want to obviously be with it and kind of keep that core together. And once again, you said Withers signed for that time. And I love playing with him. I love practicing against him too. Like we love just to compete with loose balls. And I think that's helps bring our team to where we are. It's just kind of that compete level within ourselves. So.
Do you ever take some face-offs against Wiz in practice?
Yeah, the odd time I will.
How's it go? He's pretty good, eh?
Yeah, he's very good. I don't try and win the clam because he's definitely beating me there. It just kind of turns into more or less a wrestling match.
Yeah. Well, I like your odds in a wrestling match with most guys in the league. Wiz is pretty strong too, though. So.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say both of us used to wrestle in high school, so it's always fun to watch us go at it. There's a few drills where we'll specifically line up against each other. We'll wait for each other in line and that sort of thing, just to get that competitive edge. Keep going. You want to go against the best all the time. So he's one of the best loose ball guys. So it's no question about it. We'll always go against him to try and compete.
Reminds me of high school football. Guys always trying to line up for the drills who they wanted to be against. I was a tight end, so the drills you'd have different linebackers or defensive backs trying to get up against you or whatever. And it's funny to see guys shifting around in the lines.
Yeah, I was going to say, it also leads to that kind of having that competitive edge is going to lead to kind of that performance in the games as well. Like you just want to compete whenever you have the chance, whenever you're on the floor. So being able to do it at practice at that high level is just going to help our team grow as well. So
one of the interesting things to me watching your game is, I think it's fairly well documented. You played on a lot of B teams growing up and then, coming from Fort Perry into Whitby and then made it into junior A, and really start to excel your last couple of years in junior and then into senior. Then you get drafted. I think by the time you were drafted, people had figured out how good you were. And you've done very well. Rookie of the year, your first year, or not rookie of the year, on the all rookie team in your rookie season. Then you're a second team all-star and then 3 straight defensive player of the year awards. And everyone realizes how good you are, the strength, the physicality, the skill, the lacrosse IQ. But one thing that I think has been really interesting is it seems like your game keeps evolving, even though you're pretty near the top of the profession, if not at the top of the profession as a defender in the NLL. There are some obvious things. I think the transition, developing, scoring more goals, going up more, just running the floor more is fairly obvious. But I feel like watching you, it seems like you've been working on a lot of the little elements of the game as well. Even though you've been winning these awards, it seems like you're constantly trying to improve, as I guess any professional should, but it's I think pretty marked.
Yeah, it's one of the things like I was always working on growing up is just trying to get better. Like I said, I wasn't always on those top teams. So when I have the opportunity, I kind of want to make sure, like, I'm always wanting to try and prove myself. There's that kind of edge that I'm trying to get to. And whether or not that's trying to train a little bit differently or train a little bit better or smarter, there's that. There's obviously some of it's just, you said, carrying the ball up the floor. A lot of that's just getting comfortable with the ball on my stick at this level, and then just continue to grow that way and trying to figure out how to put the ball in net, because it's not just being able to put it in a corner, because there's a whole nother side to it, which trying to get the goalie to think something else. And the O guys are very good, and even times they struggle. So it's going to be a constant battle of trying to figure out that, be able to put the ball in net. I'm sure there'll be times where it's not going in for me. But that's part of the game. It's being able to make adjustments. And when people adjust to you, you have to learn to continue to play or get better or figure out how to beat that. And that comes with that experience. And it's going to be continuing to adjust and grow. And that's kind of how you want to be at the top of the game all the time, is being able to adjust to different types of adversity. And you're going to face it all the time. It's just a matter of whether or not things fall your way. And I find working hard is one of the ways to get it to fall your way a little bit more. But like I said, it's always up and down. And it's just about trying to stay as consistent as you can.
One interesting thing, looking through your statistical history that stuck out to me, is you've only taken 2 majors and 16 minor penalties in 5 seasons in the National Lacrosse League, a total of 42 minutes in penalties. And that's pretty remarkable, I think, for someone who's known as one of the toughest, most physical defenders in the league. And to me, it seems like a testament to how you play the game intelligently and not just physically. But do you think about that, or has that been a goal, or is it just kind of how it's worked out?
Well, I guess it's always a goal, because I don't think you can be an effective player if you're in the box all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's always my goal to try and remain on the floor, be able to play as much as I can, because once again, you can't be effective in the box. And I don't know, like I said, I playing with that, I think refs do pretty much a fantastic job. It's not a tough place to be working, doing that. There's always people not going to be happy with something. So I guess my mindset is, like, I've never seen a ref make a call, so I'm always just going to let them make their calls. And if they're going against me, I have to adjust to that, obviously. So right now it's just play hard, try and find that line where I can play in and keep myself on the floor as much as possible.
Just want to wrap up with one quick aside, because you have had a chance to play this summer, playing with Archers in PLL, wondering what that experience is like. You've obviously got some very high level experience in the field game with Team Canada, but have you enjoyed the summer?
It was a blast actually getting to play again. The Archers have a great group of guys. Obviously it didn't end quite the way we wanted it to. I thought we had the bodies and the talent to go all the way, obviously. I don't think we were clicking at the right time in the season. And it comes down to that, having that short season, you have to be able to figure it out fairly quickly. And obviously we had a little lull in the middle of the season. We were starting to get there. I think we just needed some more time to really come into our own. And obviously it didn't go that way. And we ended up losing that game to the Chaos, like a very talented team, and you need to be playing your best lacrosse come playoff time. I just don't think we were quite there.
Graeme, it's always great to catch up. Appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm very much looking forward to getting to see you at a rink in person and see you playing again as soon as we all get a chance.
Yeah, I can't wait to be back on the floor, especially in Halifax. The fans were great just as we were leaving out there, so I can't wait to get back out there, play with the guys again. And once again, field was just a kind of a little taste, getting back out there playing, competing. And obviously we fell a little short, so I'm going to be hungry coming box season here.
All right. Thanks so much. Good to see you.
Hi, this is Jaden with Al Anderson Source for Sports. Excited to tell you that we got all our new lacrosse product in for this upcoming season. Whether you're playing box or field, our lacrosse experts are going to make sure we get you into the right equipment to elevate your game. At Al Anderson Source for Sports, we know our stuff.
Glad to welcome to Lacrosse Link Paul St. John, the founder and commissioner of the Arena Lacrosse League, and now announcing Arena Lacrosse League West. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate the invite.
Throws it through the middle. It just bounces off, but it's picked up and scores. That is Tyler Ferreira. The pass bounced off of Luke Laidlaw. It's really cool to talk about this, to hear about this. There were rumblings that there might be a Western version of the ALL, which has been going for 5 years now, and it has come to fruition. I'm curious what led to the ALL West happening and what have been the challenges for you in making it happen? Because I know, having talked to you a lot about, through the years as you've created lacrosse leagues, there are always challenges, right? So what's led you to this point?
Well, I think, for us personally, it's always been on the back of our minds in our original plans. We knew someday we'd move west with the division. I just really think, what we did up until we had to stop with the COVID break, has really solidified the East Division. It's been probably better than we could have ever imagined in day one, with all the great coaches we have and all the players that we've had, because we've sent a lot to the NLL and we've lost a lot of talent to the NLL, but we've been able to replace a lot of it and we develop players. That's our mandate. So, COVID shut us down, and then I had a bunch of conversations with people throughout lacrosse and a couple of, friends of mine. And actually the one person that really sticks out is Ryan McMichael, who's been back west and east, as you know. And Ryan, kept the bug in my ear. When are you going to west? When are you going west? And so we put the fillers out, and we had a great conversation with Jason Winslade from Langley Event Center. And after I spoke with Jason and Lance Wynn and I spoke with Jason, it really got us to, we can make this happen. We can make it happen actually in 2021, which would be a 2022 season, but we can make it happen now and not wait another year.
Cool. And all the games, you mentioned Langley Event Center, all the games will be there. The World Indoor Lacrosse Championships were there in 2019. They have a ton of events. They've had Minto Cups, and they really know how to run an event, they do other things, but they're very much a lacrosse venue and do a great job of putting that on. So I'm sure that was a big factor for you in being confident while you're in the East. And I assume they're helping to run it, so you have someone out there to handle a lot of things in the West?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing for us is venues. In the West, the only venue right now that has lacrosse or has turf, for lacrosse year round is the Langley Event Center. So we already knew it was a great facility. We learned a little bit more about it because it does its own in-house promotions for webcasting and gaming and games streaming and stuff like that. And it has the field house, which we'll use predominantly for our season, at least to start. And they also obviously have the big rink that the Vancouver Giants hockey team plays from the Western Hockey League. So for us, we knew a little bit. I want to say actually, maybe not a little bit. We knew a lot about the Langley Event Center, but not to the extreme that we know today. So, being there, I'll admit we are limited to other venues. Hopefully in the future, and Langley Event Center is open to this as well, that other, cities will start to follow suit and want to put some turf in and say, hey, we can play lacrosse too. Can we join the All West? So yeah, definitely that, we have growth plans, but for now it's Langley Event Center, and they'll appoint who they feel is capable to run the All West, obviously with our approval. They are a partner of ours. We still own the West Division as we do with the East Division, or my partners and I. And so Langley Event Center will be our definite start out West, and we're looking forward to it.
4 teams to start, right?
Yeah, plans are 4. I'll be honest with you, I wanted 6. You know me, I think big all the time. But the feedback we got was, we have to wait and see how many players register. We know we've had 2 NLL drafts. This past draft, there's 14 West players that get drafted, plus some other players from BC and not BC, sorry, Alberta and Saskatchewan. So, I think it was a total of 19. overall. Last year's draft, which, as you know, we didn't have a draft because we didn't have a season. I didn't look at the numbers, but there's probably another 14, 15, 20 players there. To date, our goal is, we set a goal, I think a modest goal of 150 registrations plus the drafted players into the NLL. And we know some of them will come back because not all of them will make teams, and practice roster players will play in our All West division. So we actually cracked the halfway mark to the 150 in 3 days. So we're pretty proud of that. We think that we should make the 150 and probably get closer to 200 or more registered players on top of what we will draft through the NLL drafts. So we'll have 100 players, and hopefully this year it goes very well and we can add a team or two next year.
And I think it's really big, like you said, for those players who were drafted, and especially this year with 2 drafts back to back without having had a season. It is going to be so difficult to crack NLL rosters, even with expansion. And what we've seen clearly in a growing trend over the years with the ALL based in Ontario is that is where NLL teams look when they need a player during the season, when they need to add somebody, they need to find some talent. They look to you guys. And to me, that has been, I know you obviously feel the same way, there's been that lack for guys out west to have their sticks in their hands, be playing high quality lacrosse. So it seems to me a huge element, a huge step for guys in the West to continue developing towards the NLL when they haven't had another venue during the winter.
Yeah, great points. And, we're probably, I don't know the exact numbers, but we're probably 99% of the players that go to the NLL in season. I can't think of anyone offhand in my 5 years of existence that they pulled someone off the couch. I'm sure they have, or someone out of a different league in the U.S. They probably have. But for us, we know, we're in the high 90s, definitely 95%, probably close to 99. For me, for the West, Stephen, I'll tell you this. I have 175 kids. And I know everyone looks at me and says, "Oh, your son plays in the league, blah, 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 blah." I have 175 sons. Looking for that daughter that's going to play. We almost had a girl last year, or a lady last year, crack our league in goal. Rachel is her first name. Rachel V, as I called her. Yes, thank you. So, now, and I said this to the West guys, for me, I look out at the bigger picture. The West players, we get emails all the time. How can I play in the All East? Or, well, at the time we weren't called the All East, but how can I play in the All? Do I have to move there? Do you guys help with accommodations and that? We don't. We're a volunteer league, with coaching staffs. We're a pay-to-play league for players. Mm-hmm. So, obviously the thoughts were to go West, and that's why it's happening. But now we've created at least 100 more opportunities, at least for this year. Next year could be 125, could be 150. So that gives me personally, and I use the son thing, it gives me now closer to 300 sons that every time someone gets the call up to the NLL, I feel proud and our league feels proud. And you know what? It's a great moment for us because we know we've done our work to develop that player, or at least push that player through to the NLL with conversations with GMs and coaches from the NLL. And hey, this player's ready to go. If you need a defensive player, if you need a righty-o guy or a lefty-o guy or a goalie, right? So we're always in communication with the NLL. I think if you saw the press release that we had, Nick speaks so highly of us, and their director of lacrosse operations, Brian Lemon, and I are in contact consistently, and it's a great partnership, and I think our partnership's probably unique to everyone else's partnership in the NLL. Yes, because we send players in season to the NLL, but more because we are looking up to them for advice. We're not looking for handouts. We're not looking for anything but to send players to the NLL and develop them for them. And, the rewards for both leagues is just, honestly, it's developing players and seeing them go to the next level.
I think that's a very exciting development to see that happen, because that's one thing that the NLL lacks is the opportunity. You talk to coaches and GMs all the time and they say, we draft all these kids. There's a lot of talent and we don't have the time to develop them because you have to just pick a player. If they don't make it, you have to cut them. You can't keep them connected somehow, and there aren't venues for them. So this is very exciting. We're out of time, but I do appreciate so much, Paul, you coming on. I'm excited about it. I know you're excited about it, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing the ALL West get rolling. And, of course, it is the All East now as well. So we've got the two divisions. Very exciting stuff.
Thanks for having me on, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thanks for sticking around for the rundown, lacrosse friends. Great interviews with Paul St. John and Graeme Hossack. And we're going to take you through some of the key events in the world of lacrosse over the last little while. One of them, of course, for the Calgary Roughnecks, getting a brand new deal with WestJet. Comes with a new teal turf and some new uniforms. The turf, I know people have expressed concerns about seeing the ball properly because the turf is pretty light. We'll see how that plays out. The uniforms have not gotten very good reviews, which you can debate however you feel about them. I think everyone's pretty shocked by the loss of the red in the Roughnecks jerseys, but I love the point that Dan Lomas made. He is a New York Riptide forward and also one of the co-hosts, of course, of Back of the Bird, the podcast. And he pointed out, hey, you can talk about the uniforms, you can talk about the field, you can say whatever you like, but the big thing to focus on here that's really important is one of Canada's two major airlines is excited about a long-term partnership with an NLL team, and it's another sign of the growth of the sport in the league. So pretty good news there for the Roughnecks and the league. Speaking of the National Lacrosse League, there were 8 picks in the recent entry draft voided, and some of them, by a range of teams. It is a bit strange to see that many picks voided. I think at least one of them may be reinstated. I have talked to a GM in the league who said, no, their guy was eligible. So we'll see how that one turns out. We did know ahead of time that Chris Fake was not eligible. I actually had that in my draft column beforehand because I checked with Chris and made sure and realized he was not in school this year at Yale. So that is a factor. But I think the big thing is the rules are really challenging. Trying to pin down the information can be very difficult, especially, right now with all the impacts of COVID and the extra years of eligibility. I think one big factor is, notice all the picks were late in the rounds. The first couple of rounds, teams have things pretty dialed in, pretty nailed down. As you get further into the draft, it gets more difficult to know all the players who could be possible picks for you, depending on how things have gone in the draft earlier. So you may not have as much information about every player. And that's where you see things start to get a little bit wonky. So it's too bad, a little strange, but we'll see how those things play out. I do expect, as I said, to see at least one reinstated. This weekend will be the final championship weekend for Premier Lacrosse League. It's Chaos and Whipsnakes meeting once again for the second straight year in the championship. Interesting, with Chaos at 4-5, the Whipsnakes at 5-4. I think what that speaks to is the parity in the league. It's very difficult with so much talent spread all across the teams, all throughout the league, for any team to dominate for an extended stretch. So obviously getting hot in the playoffs is massive. We'll see how that one plays out. And it is, I believe, live on NBC Sports, so you can watch it on your television. Happening this weekend, also the IBLA Nationals. A little lower level lacrosse, but an exciting development in the U.S. The way it is growing, it's happening the 17th to 19th in Auburndale, Florida. There are 17 teams, the regional champions, in 5 different groups. There are 3 groups of 3 teams. Those are all from the returning leagues. Then there are 2 groups of 4 teams. Those are all expansion leagues and the champions of each of those leagues. So that is pretty cool to see. 8 expansion leagues this year, RBLLs, as they call them, regional box lacrosse leagues, in the IBLA championships at nationals. So excellent growth for the league, for the game of box lacrosse in the U.S., and it's just getting better and better. There's some pretty good teams at that tournament. It's going to be fun to keep track of. Speaking of things getting going this weekend, the Canadian University Field Lacrosse Association kicks off its season. Of course, like most leagues, last season was canceled. No Bagataway Cup. This year, there will be a Bagataway the first weekend of November. Things a little bit different for Kufla. For one thing, McGill unable to play. We'll have more about that on next week's show, talking to head coach Nick Subry. Very disappointing for them that they're not able to take part in Kufla this year, but they do certainly anticipate being back in 2022. The divisions this year are a little different, not the normal 2 divisions. There'll be 3 divisions, 5 in the West, 4 in the Central and the East. to conform to COVID protocols to reduce the cohort of teams that each is playing against and minimize travel to basically eliminate overnight travel for regular season games. Then we have the 6-team Piscataway Cup, as I said, first weekend of November. That will be at Nipissing University in North Bay. Last weekend, we had the Pala Sixes Cup. That's the Pan American Lacrosse Association playing sixes. They were in Auburndale, Florida. The IBLA, I think I said, was in Auburndale. It's actually in Lakeland, Florida. So a lot happening in the state of Florida for lacrosse. And it was pretty cool to see 10 teams representing 7 different nations at this Pala tournament. The medals on the men's side went gold to Panama, silver to Puerto Rico, bronze to Peru. And on the women's side, the Iroquois Nationals won gold, Puerto Rico again winning silver, and Argentina taking the bronze. So some great development going on in the sixes game, obviously building toward World Games, and hopefully, we all have our fingers crossed, the 2028 Olympics. There is another event, the World Lacrosse Sixes event. It's going to be happening October 23rd and 24th. That one will be in Sparks, Maryland. And that will wrap things up for this episode of The Rundown and this episode of Lacrosse Link. Make sure you go to the website, lacrosselink.com. Check out all the episodes there. You can check out Lax Beat, my podcast. All the episodes are on there as well. And it's been great having you on. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, share it with your friends, let everyone know about Lacrosse Link. We're happy to have you with us, Lacrosse friends. We'll see you next week.